Iran's military is threatening to escalate attacks against the United States and Israel. In a statement carried on state television, an army spokesperson said the war would continue until the humiliation and surrender of its enemies.
In continuation of the heavy and severe blows you have received so far, expect even stronger and await our more crushing and more destructive actions. The facilities you have targeted so far are insignificant, and our strategic military production takes place in locations of which you have absolutely no knowledge and which you will never be able to reach.
Now, Tahid Asadi joins us live from Tehran. It's the obvious question, but I have to ask it. How has Trump's speech been received in Iran?
Very obviously, Iranians are having several considerations when it comes to this recent statement from the U.S. President Donald Trump. And the first obvious point in that regard is actually the very fact that they are used to dancing with the same old tune when it comes to this threatening rhetoric by the U.S. president, not only from the very beginning of this war, but also from the very day one of his previous administration. They are very much familiar with this threatening language, and this is part of that. The other part is actually sort of ambiguity that could be perceived here in Tehran after this recent speech by the U.S. president. It seems that he has no plan, or he is trying to keep a sort of a strategic ambiguity. However, that is, Iranians are also coming up with the same response, and as we just watched from the spokesperson for the Khatam al-Anbiya military headquarters, he came out to say that we are in possession of weaponries about which the enemy has no info, and that is obviously a kind of uncertainty or ambiguity that Iran is trying to stick to when it comes to this already intricate situation, about specifically when it comes to this recent statements by the US President Donald Trump.
Tahid, there have been, even as that speech was taking place, strikes against Iran. Just bring us up to date.
Yes, indeed. This is now more than 1 month that we are witnessing the continued nature of a sustained campaign of airstrikes targeting different locations. But something worth mentioning in this regard is the scope of these attacks. Previously, it started with political and military centers, while we know that according to the Red Crescent of the country, more than 92,000 civilian units have been impacted. And you know, these are actually homes and apartments belonging to ordinary citizens, and of course hospitals, schools, healthcare facilities, Red Crescent buildings and other infrastructure. But right now, specifically after I would say 2 weeks since the commencement of the war, there was a sort of shift strategically when it comes to targets. And right now, specifically in the past 1 or 2 weeks, we are witnessing the airstrikes targeting the infrastructure of the country. Specifically, steel companies are being impacted. We know that in Fulad Mubarakeh, one of the most important steel companies, attacks have resulted in the several production units of the company to be actually stopped from the process of production. And we know that it is critically important, not just when it comes to exports, but also when it comes to the other interrelated industries to steel industry. And we know that pharmaceutical companies have been impacted. We know that oil depots, oil-related infrastructure, and more importantly, now there are discussions revolving around the potentiality of attacks on the power plants and electricity infrastructures, which is creating a lot of anxiety when it comes to very ordinary citizens in Iran.
That's Tahid Asadi live for us there in Tehran. Now,
my life goal is clear as a day to me, is to become a better version of myself for my future kids that are going to look at me and say, I want to be like my mom when we grow up. All of a sudden, I want to turn Muslim for good, then move to Iraq and just continue my life happy with 2 little babies and my absolutely loved husband.
That's big, like my head.
In Russia we have a joke like your hand, same size. That's mean you have a problem. And when people check it, other people do like this. Russian joke. Look at this honest eyes. How can I lie?